The Oriental Adventures kerfuffle came around again recently. What do you think about these ideas of cultural appropriation and so on, as they relate to games?
It's a kind of difficult but stupid subject to tackle. I mean, Oriental Adventures specifically came out a long time ago, and even at the time had cultural consultants because they were looking for a certain degree of authenticity. So Oriental Adventures constantly being the whipping boy for people in this argument makes no sense, because in a time before we had sensitivity readers and all of that bullshit, they were already using cultural consultants. So let's take Oriental Adventures, put it to the side, and talk about the concept more generally. Well, I think it's appreciation, not appropriation. I mean, all of the game worlds that we have are, to some degree, pastiches or remixes, or they take inspiration from fictionalized versions of these cultures and times and so on. So, Pirates of the Caribbean, right? As an anarchist, I am very well aware of the line of political ideas, thoughts, democratization, and so on that came about within the pirate crews and the pirate settlements in the Caribbean. None of which appears in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. They're a pastiche, an exaggeration. It's not meant to represent real history in any way, shape, or form, and doesn't present itself as representing the real history of the pirates, right? And we can also take a look at the endless medieval-styled fantasy worlds that we have. I mean, do you think that's what Britain was or is like? Does our history and our heritage not deserve the same kind of protection? Why is it we don't give a shit? And it's not just white cultures that don't give a shit, whatever white might mean. The Japanese are happy for people to learn how to wear kimonos or to take up calligraphy or whatever else, is it's a way of preserving those traditions, and they're pleased, nay chuffed, to have anyone interested in their cultural heritage. It's a win-win for them, I think, and I think that's true of any culture, right? So expecting a game or an entertainment film or whatever to accurately represent a cultural history is a fool's game, because even within those cultures' internal media, you will find exaggerations and pastiche and so on, and fictionalized accounts. You know, we have King Arthur, who probably didn't exist. We have Robin Hood, who probably didn't exist in the terms of the story. But those fictions, those legends, ideas, whatever you want to call them, you know, that's still part of our culture, but it's fine that it's an exaggeration or a distortion or whatever else. I think you get onto trickier territory when it comes to trying to represent actual history, whether it's a historical drama or a documentary. I think you have to be careful not to represent the past in a way that it simply wasn't, because I think you need to present the past, warts and all. So things like the Cleopatra documentary and blackwashing it, that's misrepresenting history, but that is setting out to be a documentary, right? So it's a bit different. You should be trying to present the past as we believe it actually was, not trying to claim it for African Americans or whatever else. there are instances that are somewhere between the two, the fantastical fictionalized King Arthur stories and the historical documentaries about Cleopatra or whatever, the Regency era books being made into period dramas on the BBC and so on, right? And they've been tending to go multicultural, which sometimes makes a nonsense of parts of the story, and sometimes you can get away with it, but I think that's an individual case-by-case basis. But overall, with non-fantastical series, I think you should try and represent the past as it was. Again, warts and all, attitudes and all, even if it's offensive, because it shows how bad things used to be, how relatively good things are now, that progress and change is possible, and that we don't live in that now. All of which are positives for society, I think. More positive than the kind of forced inclusion and the weird casting that people are making in historical dramas. But that middle part, that's the tricky part.